All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you are new. Thank you for joining me today. We have not necessarily breaking PlayStation news or anything like that to go over, but we have something that I think is pretty interesting to cover here today. Not something I was expecting to be talking about. Now, if you were here at the beginning of the PS5's life cycle, as well as the Xbox Series console's life cycle, you will recall the conversations that were happening, that were surrounding the power factor. Which console is going to be more powerful? Which one is going to produce better results for games? Now, that conversation obviously heated up quite a bit going into the new consoles, as it should. People are very curious. They want to know what the differences are, what they can expect. And at the launch, Digital Foundry was doing a ton of different analysis videos. And to a lot of people's surprise, the PS5 was coming out on top. Not all the time. And the differences were not massive. But what was surprising at that time is that the PS5 was considered on paper the weaker console. Microsoft's marketing talked all about how powerful the Xbox Series X was, the world's most powerful console, and the fan base ran with that and also let people know that, hey, you can expect potentially some significant differences with multi-platform games. But at the very least, you can expect the better version of multi-platform games, AAA multi-platform games, that is, on the Xbox Series X. So it's understandable why it garnered a lot of attention at the time. People were like, okay, well, that's not really what's happening. It turns out that the PS5 is holding its own and potentially punching above its weight. So at that time, the retort was basically wait for the tools or wait for developers to get familiar with all of the new features that the Xbox Series X offers. And as time goes on, you're going to start to see a bigger difference. You're going to start to see more games look better and perform better on the Series X. And I thought that was a fair argument because, yeah, that very well could be the case. Well, something we're talking about today is something that I never thought we would be talking about, and it's very strange. The title is not clickbait. Some people might think the title, at least of this show, and maybe it'll be different in the video version, is clickbait. It's not. We have an Xbox first-party studio, newly released, well, technically newly released on the Xbox, but one of their newer games is actually running better on the PS5. It's performing better on the PS5 than it is the Xbox Series X. This Xbox studio seemingly cannot get the game to perform better on not only the console that the publisher that owns them produces, but the supposedly more powerful console, right? And what makes this so much worse is that, again, this is not the first time we're seeing something like this. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is the first time we're seeing something like this from a first-party Xbox studio. But yeah, this is just like the final nail in the coffin, it seems. Maybe not. It's still relatively early in the generation, but it's hard not to feel that way. So I have a report here. This is coming from VGC, and the title says, Ghostwire Tokyo on Xbox performs, quote, quantifiably worse than the PS5 version, end quote. So it says here, Ghostwire Tokyo performs quantifiably worse on Xbox platforms than the not-so-great-to-begin-with PS5 version, according to a new report. Speaking on Digital Foundry's DF Direct podcast, Oliver McKenzie discussed the initial findings on the game, which will be broken down in detail in a full Digital Foundry video, which did come out today. And this video that came out, the full breakdown, did reaffirm what is being said here. In general, it runs worse than the PlayStation 5, and Series S is a bit of a mess. This is what McKenzie said. So it's a really weird situation and not really what you would expect from what is now a Microsoft first-party development studio. McKenzie explained the situation in more detail. The ray-traced reflections are somewhat lower quality. There are shadow alignment bugs with the ray-traced shadows. Resolutions are pretty similar for the most part, but the quality mode has a moderately lower resolution than the PlayStation 5. it looks like, and performance is typically 5 to 10% lower than the PlayStation 5 when comparing the same scene. Regarding the Xbox Series S performance in particular, McKenzie says there are two graphics modes on Series S, performance and quality, and that neither has ray tracing. The game's performance mode also reportedly runs at less than 60 FPS, noting that the PS5 version released in March of 2022 had its own performance issues. He says, my hope, frankly, was that they would have fixed some of the issues from the PS5 version that John Linneman and Alex Battaglia observed last year. And if anything, it's gone in the opposite direction. Okay, so yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo, apparently Digital Foundry is coming out and saying that it is quantifiably worse on the Xbox console than it is on the PS5. Now, we maybe got a hint of this recently prior to Digital Foundry coming out and letting us know that this is the situation. There was a review done by Windows Central, and they were seemingly the first ones to point out that there seems to be something wrong here. The performance is not very good, and it's just not shining on the Xbox Series X. It's not shining on the console that it's supposed to be shining on. Now, what makes it worse is if we head over to Twitter, we have Digital Foundry's Alex Battaglia. He quote tweeted the official Digital Foundry tweet here that was put out 2 hours ago as of the time of this recording. And Digital Foundry says, yes, Ghostwire Tokyo on Series X doesn't match PS5 performance and has lower resolution ray tracing, but the key criticism is that problems with last year's PS5 game haven't been addressed, and they're all present in the Xbox version. And then Alex Battaglia chimes in. He also is from Digital Foundry. He says, I have no idea how this was released 1 year later. Does not fix the issues on PS5 and manages to run worse and look worse. What is the point of first party if not to make the first party Xbox version shine? And so, unfortunately, we are once again talking about a situation where it highlights the significant difference in approach between Sony PlayStation and Microsoft Xbox. One platform holder, one console manufacturer prioritizes their own hardware that they're asking people to go out and spend $500 on. The other is simply not doing their job. In my opinion, they are not doing what they should be doing, and that is prioritizing their Xbox Series X buyers. Instead, what they are doing a week after coming out and letting all those Xbox Series X buyers know that, hey, whether you plan to pay $70 for Redfall or maybe you're going to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, either way, if you're playing it on the world's most powerful console, you're not going to have a 60 FPS performance mode at launch. You're going to have to wait for it because we're rushing out the game because we are simply not prioritizing the Xbox Series X buyer and player. That is not the priority. A week later, we are finding out from Digital Foundry that a first-party studio title that released first on PS5 and had an entire year to become the so-called definitive version, turns out it can't even match the PS5. Now, some people will blame the developers, but at some point you have to begin to ask, is it really the development team, or is it just that maybe Xbox bet on the wrong horse when it comes to the thing that they chose to prioritize with the Xbox Series X? Because for those who don't remember, the reason why I prefaced this conversation by referencing the lead up to the launch of these consoles, Microsoft was flexing the fact that they had a bigger GPU, full RDNA 2, They had the world's most powerful console, and they had reassured the Xbox fan base that if you bought the Xbox Series X, you can expect better versions of games. And I think the bare minimum expectation from Microsoft is, at least with games that are coming from your first-party studios, you can absolutely expect that. And we are literally seeing the opposite of that. They are embarrassing Xbox Series X buyers and owners, and Sony is out here. They have been out here showing Microsoft, showing Xbox how it's done. And this is why I have been advocating for years that Microsoft needs to copy what Sony's doing. In this case, they absolutely need to copy what Sony's doing. Sony would never, ever allow a situation like this to occur with one of their first-party games. Even if that first-party game released on Xbox a year earlier, they would ensure that over the course of the next year, that development team that's now under them, that they are responsible for, that they own, they're going to prioritize. You make sure that when we get to launch this PS5 version, it's the definitive version. At the bare minimum, it has to match our competitor. At bare minimum. But ideally, and what the fan base would expect, is it has to look better. It has to perform a little bit better. It has to be the definitive version because you are our first-party studio. I think that's a completely fair expectation, and I think it's absolutely wild what Xbox Series X owners in particular have had to deal with. I genuinely feel sorry for them because I'll tell you right now, as somebody who went out, paid $500 for a console, that being the PS5, if I saw this stuff happening with PlayStation and their first-party games, not just, a one-off thing, but consistently, back-to-back, 2 weeks in a row, I'd have some serious problems. I would seriously be questioning, why did I buy this console? Why did I buy it? And, we also have to have a conversation about how for a long time now, at least in certain circles and in certain groups, people have clowned on Sony's marketing. People have clowned on Mark Cerny in that presentation he did, where yes, the focus was on the insane speed of the SSD and the I/O throughput. And, he basically said you can't really put all your stock in the teraflop. The teraflop is not going to tell you what you're ultimately going to get. And the thing that Mark Cerny focused on when he talked about the PS5 is we're going to make a console that's extremely easy to develop for. We're going to make a console that's focused on developers first, so that way players can reap the best results, right? We want to make it as easy as possible for developers to take advantage of new features, to let their game shine, to just do the best that they can do, right? Xbox clearly didn't do that. And people can point the finger at Tango Gameworks. They can point the finger and say, well, the PS5 version wasn't perfect either. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there is some blame to be placed on Tango Gameworks, yes. But when you look at the fact that they've had an entire year to try to optimize this game on the Xbox hardware, Digital Foundry themselves is pretty much saying the Series S version is a mess. At what point does it become clear that not only is the Series S a mistake on Microsoft's part, and it's going to continue to be validated? That point, the Xbox Series S is going to continue, it being a mistake, it's going to continue to be validated as time goes on and as developers are trying to push further into the generation and do new things. But even the Series X, clearly, you're not seeing a single feature that the Series X and its full RDNA 2 feature set, right? It's not being taken advantage of here by their first-party studio. They were worried about how do we get this game to even run properly on this console. They certainly weren't thinking about the feature set that's there for the Series X. And in turn, it seems to me what's happening here is Xbox players were simply lied to. Because you know what? We can point to Mark Cerny hyping up the SSD, making a big deal. We can make fun of Sony's marketing of the SSD and how a lot of the player base latched onto that. But you know what we can at least say is Sony's first-party studios have attempted to do some interesting things. It wasn't a lie. Go play Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. You'll get a really good idea of why Sony invested so heavily in the speed of this console and the SSD in particular. You go look at all of Sony's first-party games. You're consistently getting beautiful-looking games at crisp resolutions with solid 60 FPS performance modes, in a lot of cases going above and beyond that, offering 120 hertz modes, and they run flawlessly and they look incredible. You are not getting this from Microsoft. If you purchased the world's most powerful console, you are simply not getting this from Microsoft. And frankly, I'm not really sure what you're getting at this point. It seems the only thing that Microsoft is willing to offer people who bought the Xbox Series X at this point is the same thing that they've been offering everyone else, and that is, well, we have Game Pass and it's cheap. That seems to be it. But what we are looking at here, again, we have a first-party Microsoft studio, that being Tango Gameworks. They took a game that they released on the PS5 over a year ago at this point. They had an entire year to get this game up and running on the Series X and the Series S, and an entire year to try to do something with it, and they couldn't. So if I'm Microsoft, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to think to myself, is it because Tango Gameworks is an incompetent developer that doesn't know what they're doing? Or does there seem to be a pattern here where development teams are continually having some kind of problem with the Series X and Series S combination, and the fact that we are asking developers to spread themselves pretty thin across Series X, Series S, and PC? You tell me. You let me know. But that's going to do it for this rant here. And so I'll definitely be interested to see what you guys have to say. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And now I am going to transfer over here to the chat. Obviously, that portion of the stream is going to be made into a video later. But yeah, I had to come out and talk about this because I don't know, man. I'm gonna talk more about this. Like, I'm not done ranting. Okay, as you can tell, in this episode of Rant or Hype with MBG, it's obviously rant. And I know that there are people who are like, dude, why do you keep talking about Xbox? You know, I'm talking about Xbox here because I want people to know. I want people to see clearly that Sony knows what they're doing. Do not fall. Do not fall for the marketing, the advertising, and the false hype that you're going to see from the Xbox community the next time Microsoft comes out with their console and tries to flex power. Because you know what? We're going to see a PS5 Pro. And we're going to see another mid-gen refresh from Xbox. And I promise you, Xbox is going to do everything in their power to hang on to that power narrative. And we are going to call them out for it. It is our job here, right? As console enthusiasts, as people who care about the console gaming space, to let everybody know, don't fall for the BS anymore. And you know what? I didn't want to put this in my video, but I am going to add this here. I have a tweet here from Colt Eastwood. Yes, that's right. The Colt Eastwood. I'm sure many of you know who he is. Okay, Colt Eastwood is an Xbox enthusiast, an Xbox fanboy. In the eyes of a lot of people. That's what a lot of people would call him. But most importantly, he has a very large following, okay? He has, on YouTube, I think he has over like 150,000 subscribers. He has, I think, close to 50 or more than 50,000 followers on Twitter. The point is, he has quite a bit of influence, especially within the console gaming space, right? Within the Xbox and even PlayStation space to a certain degree. He put out a tweet on April 11th, and I kid you not, this is why I need to call this stuff out, because we need people to not believe the lies. He put out a tweet on April 11th, quote, enjoying the definitive version of Ghostwire Tokyo on Xbox Series X from Xbox first party, end quote. That's what Colt Eastwood said. That's crazy. Like, dude, if you're a more casual person who's trying to maybe make a purchasing decision, do I want to spend $500 on a Series X? Do I want to spend $500 on a PS5? You know, I can only afford one. This game's available on both consoles. I mean, he has to throw in there. It's like he's gaslighting his own audience here by saying, buy an Xbox first party. Like, yes, we get it. Microsoft bought Tango Gameworks. This is not the definitive version, unless Xbox fans, and here's another important point I want to make, okay? Unless Xbox fans are okay accepting that by definitive version, we mean a worse version. Expect less, expect 30 FPS, expect any version on the PS5 to be better. And even though we pay $500 for the world's most powerful console, we'll continue to say the definitive version, even though it's not true. It is genuinely delusional. It's frighteningly delusional. And I get it. If you're an Xbox fan, if you're an Xbox enthusiast, if you're an Xbox fanboy, I totally understand that we're coming off a week where Xbox just got crushed. A lot of these guys had to come out, they had to take the L, they had to bend the knee and say, yup, we can't accept this. Microsoft is telling us we're going to have to play Redfall at 30 FPS on our Series X consoles. This is unacceptable. And they have to put Microsoft on blast. You know they don't want to do it. And then the very next week, you have a very similar situation where it's like, here's your Xbox first-party studio, and they're letting you know, yeah, you're going to get the worst version. We own this studio. We could have made this a priority. And I want that to be understood here. Okay, this is the difference between Sony and Microsoft. As I said, and I will continue to point this difference out. The difference between Sony and Microsoft, Sony would never let something like this happen. They would never do it. Microsoft doesn't care. Microsoft just says, okay, well, I guess you guys can't get the game running at least even as good as the PS5 version. And you represent Xbox Studios now. Okay. Reality. Manic, you're saying Last of Us PC. Dude, you're screeching Last of Us PC as if that's not an argument. Okay? I can't speak for anybody else. I destroyed Sony for what they did with The Last of Us on PC. I made it clear. Unacceptable. Pathetic. Sad. Damaging to their reputation. Damaging the Naughty Dog's reputation. But my point still stands. My point is Sony would never release The Last of Us in that type of state on their console for the people who care enough to go out and buy their console. That's the point, man. There's a reason why if you choose to boot up and play The Last of Us Part 1 on PS5, it runs flawlessly. There's a reason for that. MBG, these podcasts should be about constructive criticism, not putting people who bought the Xbox consoles down. Hi-Fi Rush was released for only Xbox by the same studio, Tango, and ran flawless. Well, let's get something straight here. All right. First of all, I appreciate it. I think this is constructive criticism. I'm trying, like, dude, I am trying. Look, I'll be honest. Constructive criticism doesn't work anymore. I just read a tweet from Colt Eastwood, an Xbox dude with like the biggest following. This is what constructive criticism gets you. A state of delusion claiming I'm playing the definitive version. Hey, everybody, come join me. What he should be saying is, this is insane. How is it possible that this version of the game runs worse than the PS5 version a year later? This is what constructive criticism gets you. Okay, Colt Eastwood is the same dude that got flown out. He's the same dude that got flown out to play Redfall early and report on it. And he gave a flawless report saying the game runs great. I'm loving it. It's fantastic. And as soon as this shit hits the fan, turns out maybe it's not running so great. Turns out it's going to come in hot and kind of unfinished, and it's going to run at 30 FPS. Now suddenly he's backtracking. He's got to do the whole spin around because, well, yeah, the game had issues. And people are calling him out on it. And they should, because this is what I'm saying, man. This is what Microsoft is trying to do. Microsoft is trying to convince the masses, and they're going to find people that are aligned with them and convince them and have them regurgitate it. Because you know what Microsoft got tired of? Microsoft got tired of people like me, people like you, and many others calling their shit out. I have a fucking delusional tweet here. I don't know why I've been seeing this dude pop up on my feed, okay? I got this up on my phone. This is now this guy doesn't have nearly as much influence. He's got like a couple thousand followers on Twitter, maybe like 4 or 5 or something like that. His name is, he's at Snap Blast Play. Okay, and this is why I'm saying people wonder why I have such an axe to grind with the Xbox community. It's because these are the same dudes who are so quick to absolutely shit on PlayStation fans, shit on Sony, shit on PS5 owners, put all their fans on blast for everything. And don't get me wrong, there are some fucking obnoxious, and maybe some people think I'm one of them, but there are some obnoxious PlayStation fans as well that do deserve to be put on blast. It's happened to me at times, okay? It happens. Comes with the territory. But there's just some shit where it's like, how is this even a thing? Check this out. This guy says 3 hours ago, the Xbox community are generally much more likely to speak up about things they don't like. And he goes on to list examples. He lists 3 examples. 2021, upping the cost of Xbox Live. 2022, having a dry first party. 2023, 30 FPS for Redfall at launch. Then he says, meanwhile, the PlayStation community never seems to call Sony out. And then proceeds to list nothing. Nothing that Sony did. Give me a sec. Actually, I'm so into my own rant here, I forgot to enable this stuff. I apologize, guys. There we go. All right, everything's good to go now. Sorry about that. Apologies to anybody who donated a super chat. You should have gotten an alert. That's my bad. I was so into my own rant. I apologize. That won't happen again. But I'm reading this dude's tweet, and I'm like, he proceeds to not list a single thing regarding Sony, probably because he can't think of anything, but he can very easily think of 3 things 3 years in a row that Microsoft fucked up that the fan base had to go berserk on them for. And here's the saddest part. He says, well, hey, the Xbox community is quick to call out 30 FPS on Redfall at launch. What good is that doing? Seems like Microsoft doesn't care to listen anymore. Microsoft came out in 2021 and said, we're doubling the price of Xbox Live. The Xbox fan base went absolutely berserk, as they should. And Microsoft was like, you know what? Never mind about that. He says 2022, Xbox fans have called out Microsoft for having a dry first party. Dude, we are approaching May, the 5th month of the new year. It's about to be nearly a year and a half. Nearly a year and a half with the dry first party. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, that's something that hasn't been corrected. So you got 2 things that this dude listed that Microsoft hasn't corrected. Number 1, Redfall 30 FPS. They're not delaying the game. They're releasing it. Number 2, a dry first party spell throughout all of 2022. Still not corrected. Why am I going so berserk on the Xbox fan base? Because I just want people to keep this shit in mind, man. The next time you see these guys out here pumping up their brand, making it seem like everything's so great, and Microsoft's such a great company that cares so much about the consumer. Microsoft doesn't give a shit about the consumer. They care if you're a subscriber. Are you a subscriber? Then you matter. Anything else, you don't matter. Sorry. You paid us $500 for a console we sold you on? Shame. What a shame. So, right now, if you're a consumer, right? Oh, wait, hold on. No, hold on. I can't forget that, though. But MBG, there's something you forgot. Ghostwire Tokyo is available on Game Pass. Did you get me? I think you may have got me. Uh-oh. Got him. Got him. Oh, wait. It turns out it's on PlayStation Plus as well. So that's right, people. That's right. If you want the definitive version of the Xbox first-party studio title, Ghostwire Tokyo, go subscribe to PlayStation Plus, because that's where you'll get it. You cannot make this shit up. I said this is pathetic because this is pathetic. Xbox Series X owners should be pissed. Even Game Pass subscribers should be pissed. Expect better from your preferred brand. Demand better. Because you know what? I see people like this putting out tweets saying, I don't see PlayStation fans. You don't see because you're not looking, buddy. You're in a bubble. All you see are Xbox dudes telling you how great everything is while ignoring the fire around you. So yeah, you can't see what PlayStation players are saying, because you know what PlayStation players are doing? Right now, they're getting ready to boot up Burning Shores at 60 FPS. Oh, wait, 120 FPS on the PS5. That's what they're getting ready to do. They're getting ready to play Final Fantasy 16, a game that's going to have a 60 FPS performance mode, and it's going to look damn good. They're getting ready for potentially a PlayStation showcase where they know Sony's not going to come out and say, here's what you're going to be playing in the next 12 months. Actually, we're fucking lying to you. That's what PlayStation fans are doing. PlayStation fans are looking at Jim Ryan saying, yeah, I don't know that this is a good look, Jim. I don't know, Sony. We get that business is business. You got to do what you got to do. But the last time I checked, PlayStation fans have been eating good. And the only thing that's been really going poorly for Sony is they haven't had any shows. They haven't been they haven't been announcing enough new stuff. And the fan base is getting eager and asking, and in my case, demanding, like, Sony, the time has come. Show it to us. But that's the difference between Sony and Microsoft is Sony can announce Spider-Man 2 in 2021, give us a single trailer, and maybe they don't give us another trailer for nearly 2 years later. But you know what we can have confidence in? We can have confidence in, at least when Spider-Man 2 does drop, the quality is going to be there. The prioritization of the PS5 buyer, the person who spent money on their console, is the priority. I know people were quick to jump on Sony for the whole Last of Us PC thing, as was I. And they deserve to hear that. Yes, Sony, you fucked up. Get it together. This is a horrible look. You look bad. But for those people, they want to jump on something like that, and they want to try to use that as a way to make the points that I'm making about Xbox. But you can't do that because they're not the same. They're not the same. And anybody who wants to try to equate them, frankly, has literally no idea what they're talking about. I mean, here's the thing, man. I've been really hard on Xbox these past 2 weeks, no doubt. And people say, like, MBG, where's your stream about The Last of Us PC? Where's my stream? Where's my dedicated stream? Here's the thing. Number one, and I just feel like I got to answer this because they're valid questions. You seem to have streamed a lot the past week and a half or so. Maybe the past 2 weeks, way more than you normally do. How come I didn't see you streaming? Well, here's what they won't tell you. Here's what they won't fucking tell you. I don't think it was last Thursday. Maybe it was last Thursday. If it wasn't last Thursday, it was the Thursday prior. But the point is, I did a dedicated stream, nearly 3 hours long, losing my mind on Jim Ryan, on Sony, for that crazy quote that came out from Jim Ryan. Wasn't talking about Xbox, wasn't shitting on Xbox. Yes, that's right. MBG was actually shitting on Sony because they deserved it. Will they bring that up? Will they do a reaction video to that? No. No, they won't. Okay? They won't do it. They won't remember it. They probably won't even watch it. But it's there. They won't tell you that on a recent podcast episode, I had an entire section, probably close to an hour long, maybe even longer, talking about The Last of Us. I talked about that twice on 2 separate streams. I'm talking about it now. So I don't want to hear this shit. I don't want to see people comment and be like, oh, you let Sony, not let Sony get away with shit. Why the fuck would I do that? What? I'm serious. As a consumer, as somebody who cares about the PlayStation brand, and the reason why I'm here is because they do good shit. Why would I not call Sony out? Why would I not say to them, you're fucking up? You should do something about that. See, because what they try to do is they say, well, you're okay with paying $70 for high quality exclusive games, so you're part of the problem. Actually, no, I'm not part of the problem. You're part of the problem, trying to condition people to expect a quality product without having to actually pay for that quality. You're part of the problem. You want to put your faith in a company like Microsoft that is giving you promises saying, oh, we're going to be able to match Sony's quality. Oh, well, maybe Microsoft didn't say that, but you know who definitely did? The Xbox fan base, because that seems to be where their mindset is. Microsoft's going to make that comeback. Soon, people are going to question why they're even paying for Sony's games. Soon, people are going to question, why are we paying $70 for Spider-Man and God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Forbidden West? Look at what Microsoft's doing. They're matching you, Sony. They're matching your quality, and they're doing it at $10. Oh, wait, that's right. They're not. And they haven't. They cannot get their fucking shit together. So I'm telling you, I'm going on this Spartan Rage rant right now because I'm telling you, man, when the shit hits the fan for Sony again, it's going to happen. I don't know when. It could be next week. You know what's going to come out. Right? You know that next week, I'm pretty sure it's next week, the final verdict from the CMA is going to come out, and they're going to say, Sony, we don't agree with you. We're letting this go through. And you know what we will do? We will gather here on a stream, and we will say, are you happy now, Sony? You tried. You looked foolish doing so. You got a lot of people annoyed with you, and you didn't stop it. Can we move on now? Can we give it up? Can we start a showcase? That's what we'll say. That's what I'll say, at least. And you're going to get these guys out here. You wait. They're going to come out, and they're going to flex. They're going to pretend, what? Redfall 30 FPS? What are you talking about? That didn't just happen. Ghostwire running like shit on my console that I paid $500 for that I said is going to demonstrably be better? What are you talking about? No, look, Sony lost. Because that's how it goes. People don't want to keep track anymore. They don't want to keep score. They want to just pay attention to the flavor of the day. And I get it. I do it too. That's what we're doing right now. Ghostwire Tokyo is the flavor of the day. But here's what I'm trying to point out to people. I'm trying to show you the bigger picture. The problem that hasn't been solved, that seemingly isn't going to be solved, at least not anytime soon. This past week, I've seen the amount of people basically preemptively damage controlling Starfield running at 30 FPS on the world's most powerful console. And I want to make it known, when Xbox does something great, I'm going to fucking hype it up. I'm going to hype that shit up. People think I'm not, but you wait. It's going to happen. Because I've told people, the day Xbox drops a game that is a must fucking play, a AAA game that's must play, I will be there. I'm going to buy a Series X. Hell, I may even buy that game. Although it probably would be beneficial for me to give Game Pass a try, give my thoughts on it. But that day will come. And I will do a stream and I'll say, yo, maybe it'll be Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2 is fucking incredible. Now this is a AAA game on Game Pass. This is a quality game on Game Pass. But we are not there. Instead, where we are is Redfall and Ghostwire Tokyo. So I'm not going to sit here and tell people to wait. And I better not hear people telling me to wait. Because I'll tell you, I've been waiting since 2016. Since 2016. You want to talk about the smaller games, Pentiment, Hi-Fi Rush, that's all fine, well, and good. Enjoy what you enjoy. Not the games that are going to get me to buy an Xbox. Not the games that are going to get me to subscribe to Game Pass. They're not. That's not going to do it for me. It's not stimulating enough for me. That's just me. I've been waiting for Microsoft to deliver some AAA greatness since 2016, and they still, after buying an entire publisher and having that publisher for over a year, they still haven't done it. Now, I'm going to get to these. So I noticed a couple people gifting memberships. Guys, this is where I'm going to come out, and I'm going to let you know. I don't know if we can make it happen. Would be amazing if we can make it happen. I'm working on member perks behind the scenes. Okay, I got things in the works that I'm coming up with, things we're going to be able to do together. Not saying what they are just yet, but I do have ideas for member perks, and they are in the works. Okay, I noticed we have gained a lot of members here on the channel, which is incredibly humbling, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. You guys are awesome. We have Kurahi saying, member for 1 month, saying, hey, MBG. Hey, Kurahi. We have Brad Beck gifting a membership, and Domingo813 also gifting a membership. Guys, I want to encourage you. Okay, follow Brad Beck, follow Domingo813, follow their lead, continue to gift memberships. Okay, we're going to have new viewers coming in either every day or every week. And if you want to help continue to grow this, what I think is an awesome community, continue to consider, I should say, gifting memberships, continue to gift memberships. We got a train going the other day, the likes of which I've never seen. That was insane. How do I enable receiving membership gifting? The next time you see somebody gift a membership, click on it in the chat. It'll ask you if you want to enable the ability to be gifted a membership. That's important for people to understand. So, yeah, that was a really awesome stream. We got a lot of new members, and I got perks in the works. Perks in the works. That's interesting to say that. Next Gen Gamer, MBG, stop begging. This is begging to you? Next Gen, this is begging to you? Well, geez. Nah, I'm not going to stop. Domingo813. Domingo813, thank you, man. Gifting another membership. That's 3. Let me see if, make sure my stuff's up here. That's bothersome to me. I got to figure out how to fix that. For some reason, I noticed the, so the membership gifting is not counting on the counter, but this counter should be at 3. I'll manually add it. That's what we'll do. We got another one. So we got one there. We had 3 gifted memberships. 2, 3, 4. I've become a member 3 times. You guys already got your the pop up on screen. But thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. If you want to get a train going, get it going, man. I got a goal here, 25 new members. Don't know if we can make it happen today, but even just getting some, very much grateful for that. You guys are amazing. So thank you, Domingo813, for gifting another membership. And thank you, Albert Ellison. Welcome to Greatness Awaits. Really appreciate it, guys. Really, really appreciate it. Means a lot. You guys know I don't do sponsorships or anything. Just rely on fan funding. And a big shout out to everybody who donates a super chat as well. I'm going to get to those now. Don't worry, Rory. I'm getting to them now. Sir Laugh a Lot 07. Thank you for the 20, my friend. This guy's got to go, bro. Real quick, Next Gen Gamers out here being like, bro, imagine donating to this dude. Dude, imagine coming to my stream to tell me how much you don't like my stream, man. Like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? This guy clearly is upset about what I had to say about Xbox. Notice how, again, he's no different, man. He's no different, right? Like, notice how he says nothing about, hey, MBG, I appreciate that you did call out The Last of Us on PC. I do appreciate that you do call out Sony on their shit. No. I'm just a crazy radical fanboy. Can't make this shit up, man. All right, let me read the super chat. We got Sir Laugh a Lot 07. Thank you for the 20, my friend. You're saying, hey, MBG, I hope you're all good. Really enjoying the new format, man. I appreciate the amount of work you're putting into it. Hope you have a fun stream. The cap is backwards. The gloves are off. You're laughing. Tidings from Scotland. Well, that's awesome, man. All the way from Scotland. I appreciate that, dude. Yeah, I wasn't planning on messing around today. Wasn't planning on messing around today. I mean, look, I knew this was going to be a heated rant, and that's the thing is like, I do understand that there are people who are like, look, I don't know if I want to tune into the rants. I don't know if I'm into the ranting so much. I want some hype. Believe me, I want the hype too, bro. And there is stuff to be hype about. For example, Horizon, Burning Shores, that's looking hype. You know, there are things to be hype about. But right now, Sony's still at that place where they're not necessarily doing anything major. Nothing huge yet. We're like right on the cusp of that happening. So it's hard to come out here and be like, I'm just going to have a really hype, exciting stream, especially when Xbox is doing this stuff right now, where it's like, how can I, like, this, I know people don't want to accept it, but this does involve PlayStation. Like, this involves the PS5 console. And I hope people can see that. Like, here's the thing. If Ghostwire, let's say, what if it was the other way around? What if it was the other way around? What if Ghostwire Tokyo ran better on the Xbox Series X? Do you know why nobody would really be talking about it? Because it's like, that's the expectation, dude. That is the expectation. Ruthless King, thank you for becoming a member. Shout out to my members, guys. You guys are doing it. Can we do it? Can we hit the goal? Can we get 25 new members? I don't know, man. Like I said, we had a stream on my podcast, dude. I set a goal of like, hey, maybe we can get 20 new members today. You guys came out, you're like, let's get a train going. Let's get 100 new members in here. The gifting, it was like some of the most generous gifting I've ever seen. So I'll leave it to you guys. If you want to help us get to 25, let's do it. But if not, I'm thankful for anybody who chooses to support. Really appreciate it. We got 18 May. Thank you for the 20, my friend. You're saying, here's 20 bucks, MBG. Now say one nice thing about Xbox. Give it your best shot. Dude, why are you asking me to do the impossible? No, it's not that hard. I do think Deacon Saint MBG. Yeah. That's funny, dude. Because I just realized I probably do look like him a little bit with the black backwards hat and the beard. Say one good thing about Xbox. Believe it or not, there are good things. Like, I do think that Xbox does some good stuff. Okay? One of the things that I think Xbox is doing well. Oh, there we go. Well, isn't this a twist? Isn't this Mrs. MBG became a member? Mrs. MBG. Why, thank you. Wait a second. Hold on. Is this the Mrs. MBG? Yep, it is. Who wants to follow Mrs. MBG's lead? You went to gift a membership and saw you weren't one yet. Even Mrs. MBG wasn't a member yet. What is going on, guys? What is happening? Mark and Kim, thank you for gifting a membership. Thank you. Clearly, you guys are inspiring one another. I love to see it. Really appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Is Mrs. MBG also muscle bound? Not necessarily. No, not in that sense. She likes to exercise. She likes to try to stay fit. But, I mean, it's been tough, you know. It's been tough lately with the recovery and all, but it's a goal, you know? It's a goal. I'm going to start training Mrs. MBG, and it's going to be muscle-bound family. There we go. The dude says Mrs. MBG is a mom. She's mom strong. Absolutely. Absolutely. True King Gaming says, get on gear already, MBG. I don't think I can do it, man. I don't think I can do it. I don't think so. Albert Ellison gifting a membership. Let me see. How many gifts was that? That's 2 more gifts. I got to manually add them. I got to figure out how to incorporate that. I don't know why that doesn't go off. So what are we at? We're at 8 new members. Is that where we're at? Yep, at 8 new members. You guys are awesome. Really appreciate it, guys. Who was gifted that membership? I missed it. Zagatka. Oh, there you go. Zagatka, you've been super chatting over I've seen you super chat more than a couple times. So there you go, man. Gifted a membership. I got to try to do a better job shouting out those who are being gifted a membership. It's sometimes hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard to keep up with. But the amount of people that I see that are unaware that they've been gifted a membership and they like realize it the next day or a couple days later. Will we ever meet Mrs. MBG? We'll see. Who knows? Maybe that'll be a member perk. I don't know. I'll give Mrs. MBG her me and her will do something. I don't know, behind the scenes. Like a show or I don't know. It's a possibility, guys. That, like I said, things are in the works. So thank you for that. Let me see. So I got to get back to the super chat though. 18 May said, say something good about Xbox. Dude, I would love to say something good about Xbox, but every time I do, they're coming in with more memberships, bro. We got Chris B gifting another 5 memberships. Thank you so much, man. Let me see. I got to add 5 more here to the counter. That is awesome, dude. Thank you so much for that. That is awesome. Chris B coming in clutch with 5 new memberships. Let's see. Who'd he gift? Geronimo 15. Starwalker Gaming. Bone Knife. Greg Faustin. Ted Harris. All new members. Very nice of you, Chris B. Very nice of you. Very nice of everybody to gift memberships. Yeah, Mrs. MBG has been saying we got to do a Dead by Daylight stream. We do play together every night. It's true. Me and Mrs. MBG, we play Dead by Daylight every night. We have a good time. Sometimes I don't know, man. Sometimes we start raging at each other. Apparently, I'm not the best player. By that, I'm not the nicest player. So maybe we could, maybe we could do something like that. Dead by Daylight. We should stream Redfall together. It's like we end up streaming Redfall together. We actually have a ton of fun. It's a great game. We're like, you know what, guys? Say one good thing about Xbox. Well, you know what I'll say about Xbox that I think is good? I think Xbox is... I think what they're... I like the fact that Xbox refuses to give up. I know that may sound like a cop-out, but it's true. I do like the fact that they are still around, they're still here, and they refuse to give up. I may not be on board with their tactics necessarily. I may not think they're doing the best job, but I at least appreciate the fact that, you know, the tenacity, the unwillingness to just say, you know what, we lost, we're giving in. Yes, that is because they have money, but I like that. I do like that they're trying to provide value. I appreciate that. Just like I appreciate what Sony's doing with PS Plus. I appreciate them trying to provide value, to add value. I like that, but I do have my concerns because, you know, I am just naturally the type of person where if it sounds too good to be true, I'm going to lean towards it's because it is too good to be true. What's the catch? What are you hiding? What's the long-term implication? But I do appreciate that they're doing that. And yeah, I think they're doing a good job with cloud gaming as well. Again, not my cup of tea. See, you can tell. This is where you can tell, like, the things that I'm saying. At least you tried, MBG. Okay, and I did say this too. I gave Xbox a lot of credit. I gave Xbox a lot of credit that, look, they have been giving these studios that they're acquiring, they've been allowing them and giving them the platform and the funding, clearly, and the time, the resources, to see through these smaller projects, okay? To get out these smaller projects that whether they live or they die, whether they're good or they're bad, they're letting them do it. They're letting them experiment, and I think that's respectable. I do. Microsoft doesn't have to do that. You know, they didn't have to see something like Hi-Fi Rush through. They didn't have to see something like Pentiment through. They didn't have to allow Ninja Theory to do Bleeding Edge, but they did. So it's, you know, I have to give them credit where it's due. But man, that was tough. Whew. Oh, 18 May. Bro, I appreciate the super chat, but man, that was tough, man. I was sweating there. MBG, rumors within the last hour of Days Gone 2. Days Gone 2, you say? I don't know, man. I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about. I don't want to talk about it yet, though. I think I want to save it for tomorrow's show. But I know what you're talking about. I'm just checking now to see if there's any. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Well, I'm going to save that for tomorrow's show. All right. Let me see here. We got Michael Lynch. Thank you, buddy. You're saying, I'm at the Colt Eastwood section. That's why so many Xbots seem delusional in their facts. Look at who they're listening to. Colt Eastwood and others simply lie to keep the Microsoft hype train going. And look, man, to me, it's sad to see that, because I get it. Like, a lot of people may have noticed a change recently here on the channel. Okay, a change in MBG's tune. You know, MBG is the guy that has said over and over again, like, yo, I want to be more positive. And look, man, I'll be honest. I'm just more naturally inclined to see the negative. But at the same time, a big reason why I have the audience that I do and why you guys are here is because a lot of you guys have shown up and I've gained a large portion of my following from being super hype about things, from being super excited. And that's the thing that I want to focus on as well, is that it's not just about the negativity. It's not just about that. But one day I guess I just kind of woke up and I realized that I can come out here on my channel and I can say, guys, I don't want to be negative. I want to focus on the positive. I want to focus on the good. And I realized that, you know what, dude, there are just times where things are not looking that positive. You know, I'm not a believer in forced positivity. I'm not a believer in what I perceive to be at times being delusional, right? And even that type of mindset has made me even blinded sometimes to PlayStation. And I get it. And I'm telling you, like, that's where it comes from. Like, you talk about they want to keep the hype train going. I get that. That comes from a good place. Okay, people who want to keep the hype train going, they want to keep the positivities because they want to be excited and enthusiastic about something, and they want to enjoy something, and they want to, get other people to share in that with them. But the reality is, it doesn't always work like that. The reality is, sometimes there's nothing to be positive about. Sometimes the news is negative. Sometimes the news is bad, and sometimes the hype train has to grind to a screeching halt, and we have to get on the rant train. That's what's necessary. That's what has to happen. And it doesn't matter if you're in favor of PlayStation, if you're in favor of Xbox, if you're a Nintendo fan, PC, it doesn't matter. Like, there's just going to be times where you got to call a spade, and that it might not feel good. You might not want to do it. But that's why I just realized, like, I can't come out here and present myself anymore to people as I'm the positive guy. I'm the positive PlayStation guy. You're just going to only get positive PlayStation news or just PlayStation news. I realize, like, that's just not how I work, man. I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the things that excite me. I'm going to talk about the things that I want to rant about. And that's how it's going to be. And I guess the best thing I can promise at that point is you'll know I'm being honest. You won't have to worry about Sony calling me and flying me out to test out a game. And if that game looks like shit, me coming back and saying, yeah, guys, that game was amazing. And as soon as we get the bad news the next week, come out and being like, you know what, actually, no. That's the thing, is I'm not working with Sony. I don't think Sony would ever want to work with me. I mean, dude, I don't think that they probably don't appreciate the times that I have had to call them out, you know? It's the way it is, man. So thank you, Michael. We got Omega Slash Buster saying Microsoft sabotage their games so the ABK deal goes through. I mean, it's a little strange, right? You got to admit, there's something a little fishy going on here. The month of April, the same month that the CMA is supposed to make their final call, it just so happens that we can't get our game at 60 frames per second. How could we make a worse version of Call of Duty on PlayStation when we can't even make a better version of Ghostwire Tokyo on Xbox? I mean, I gotta admit, this adds fuel to that conspiracy fire. It's pretty small, but You gotta admit, the timing is sus. The timing is sus. That would be next level. That would be next level on Microsoft. And I would say, holy shit, these guys are devious. They are devious, but I don't think so. I don't think, like, to me, it still sounds too ridiculous, you know? It sounds too ridiculous. That's funny. Perfect Image. You're saying Xbox and PlayStation is the RAM and controllers for them. PS, AIO has less controller, and they use smart delivery, has too much controllers to understand MBG. Perfect Image, I appreciate your super chat, man. But I'm going to be real right now. I have no idea what you just said. I wish I could. I'm as I was reading it, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. I apologize that I can't make sense of it, and I very much appreciate the super chat. But I just got to be honest. Like, I don't know what to say in response. Rari 2X, you're saying, bro, I was 14 in 2016. That's crazy. Yeah, that's when I started my YouTube channel. Pretty sure it was 2016. Summer of 2016. Let me see here. Albert Ellison, you're saying, can't be here for every stream, but I love the new streaming content, so I became a member to show support. Can't wait for the Horizon DLC. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Albert. And I know that not everybody can catch all the streams. I got a lot of content coming out these days. I'm streaming nearly every day. On top of the podcast I do on Sundays, I still have, regular video content coming out. So I understand that not everybody's going to be able to get all or watch all the content. But for those of you who are trying your best and trying to show support any way you can, absolutely love to see it, man, and appreciate it. Stephen Jones says, at work, listening to MBG to help pass the time. Glad I can help, man. Ruthless King, I think I shouted out you becoming a new member, but just in case I didn't, thank you for that. Domingo813 saying, but Xbox has quick resume, and then you laugh. Listen, man, I remember back with the launch of the Xbox Series X and S and the PS5, and I remember, dude, like, it was a war. Like, it was a console war because you have two different consoles that are trying to sell you on, like, look, here's why you're going to want to purchase me over the competition. And that was one of Microsoft's big things, right? They had quick resume. I was focused on the fact that they had 0 launch titles. Okay. But this is what I'm saying, man. Like, dude, I'm not trying to be that guy, but it's hard not to. And I don't want to, like, keep living in the past, but it's just important that people understand, like, who they might be listening to and the people tweeting, the people putting out YouTube videos, whatever. Just be aware that a lot of these guys, not all of them, but a lot of them, when Microsoft launched the Xbox Series X with no launch games, actually one timed exclusive, ironically enough, the very thing that Microsoft and their fan base are trying to condemn, timed exclusives. They had this game, I think it was called Falconeer or something. It was a really small game. It was nothing. It was basically a small indie game. That was it. That was the only Xbox exclusive that launched with the world's most powerful console. And I actually saw some people out here at that time, like, rather than call Microsoft out for the fact that they don't have a proper, exciting launch lineup, they're out here trying to hype up this Falconeer game. Dude, it would be like imagine if the only launch game the PS5 had was Destruction All-Stars. Could you fucking imagine that, dude? No Demon Souls, no Spider-Man, no Little Big Planet game. That'd be insane. No Astrobot, just Destruction All-Stars. I'll tell you right now, that night the PS5 launched, I was streaming Demon Souls. That was a fun-ass stream, dude. I had to stream that night. I was like, yo, my first stream from the PS5, let's play some Demon's Souls, and we were all blown away. Imagine if it was just Destruction All-Stars. That night, I would have had a video uploaded ranting to you guys about how this is the worst launch lineup in PlayStation history. And this is why people get on me and they're like, well, how come you keep talking about Xbox in 2022 having no games, man? Okay, it's coming to an end. Like, dude, I don't want to hear it anymore. It's not. It hasn't ended. Nothing has ended. Nothing has changed. People wonder why. They brush all of that shit under the rug, right? They forget about it. And this is why when these dudes come out here and they're like, you just don't want to see Xbox compete. This is why you don't want them to buy Activision Blizzard. You don't want to see them compete. Like, dude, because they fucking can. And this is how they compete? Right? This is how let's spend $68 billion because we suck? Then fine, let them have it. That's what I say. At this point, that's what I say. You're right. They can't compete. They've proven it. They've went years at a time without any game launches. They've bought multiple studios. They've bought an entire publisher and they're still fucking up. They're still fucking up. People make it seem like there's something mentally wrong with me because I'm so excited about PlayStation, because I talk so positively about PlayStation, because I'm so willing to give Sony the benefit of the doubt. Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder? Maybe because PlayStation doesn't do literally any of that shit, or hardly any of it. And if it ever does happen, it's far and few in between. I don't know how long I can keep going on these rants, but it's just the shit. Like, what? I forget too, man. That's the thing, is sometimes I forget too. And when I remember, suddenly I get all angry. I'm like, you know what? Hold on a second. Sony might look pretty pathetic getting on their knees out here begging for Call of Duty. We talked about that. It looks sad, and we don't love to see it. We don't want to see it. We can understand, maybe it's the nature of the business, maybe it's an obligation. Doesn't mean we like to see it. But you know what? If that's the worst of it, right? That's the worst of it. I don't know, man. I have been eating good since since before November 2020. I'm not even talking about the PS4. Everybody knows if you owned a PS4 during that generation, you were eating good. It was a damn buffet. Okay? But even after that, during a pandemic, shit's hitting the fan globally. No one knows what the hell's going on. Crazy times. End of times, maybe. Hell, it could have been the end of times. The way shit was going, looking back, you would have thought, this is it. We're in the apocalypse. But Sony's got my ass covered. Sony's putting out games. I'm eating good. If I'm buying a PS5, I'm eating good. Yeah, I'm paying for it, but it turns out that's how things work. You want quality, you want greatness, you want something good, you want something that's above average. Well, you ain't getting it for cheap, and you're certainly not getting it for free. That's Sony. That's PlayStation. That's been PlayStation. You want to talk to me how I'm telling you, I'm fucking getting annoyed the more I think about it, because I've seen all these, excuse my language, but it's going to happen. Maybe I got to start getting, I don't know. Maybe I got to start, I'm probably like demonetizing my own content and don't realize it, but I got to say it, man. I got to just say it. Like, I've seen so many of these motherfuckers the past couple weeks, so quick, putting out, people think I'm toxic. They're putting out their shit. They're putting their shit out loud and clear for everybody to see. Haven't seen any one of these fuckers. None of them. Except for Colt Eastwood, ironically enough. Not putting out videos. Not putting out videos talking about Microsoft and the shit they're doing. Now, nope. They're quick to talk about, oh, did you see this? Did you hear what Jim Ryan said? Even though that doesn't affect me as a gamer or a consumer literally at all. But this thing that just happened with Xbox that actually does affect consumers, does affect the people who bought the console, well, we're not going to talk about that. People wonder why is MBG out here talking about it so much? Because I got to make up. I got to make up for everybody else who's not talking about it. Or if they're talking about it, they're not being loud enough. I should not be the loudest motherfucker out here talking about this. It's annoying, dude. It's annoying as hell. I should rename this particular episode Rant or Rant with MBG. Isn't that the most ironic thing, though? You know, the biggest thing that people were saying not last week, but like 2 weeks ago and for months, and you guys know, I know you've seen it a lot. The biggest thing we've seen coming out, PlayStation fans crying. MBG crying. All the PlayStation fans are crying. Sony pony tears. These are the same motherfuckers. Sorry, I'm slamming shit now. I'm about to break my mug. Same motherfuckers that are coming out here. Well, you got to make sure you demand better. You got to hold Sony accountable. You got to let them know. Like, which is it? Are we crying or are we holding them accountable? I don't know anymore. What's going on? That's why I'm saying these guys, all these guys who are saying that, they're not coming out here. They're not being loud about it because they were the dudes that were too busy paying attention to all the PlayStation fans saying, we love your tears. We love the salt. Let's keep it going. And then this comes around and silence, damn near silence. I don't get it. Let me see. Mongo04, you're saying 2 weeks ago you apologized for talking about Xbox too much. Now you're back at it. I actually like you more open. I like your more open, unrestricted rants. Yeah, that's the thing, dude. I'm done apologizing for things that I shouldn't apologize for. Because that's where I realized, like, I confused people coming to my channel and leaving comments or, you know, a random person or two in the stream. I confused them saying, I thought this was a PlayStation channel. You shouldn't be talking about Xbox, for me being wrong about what I was saying. And no, like, that's what I realized is, like, look, there will be times where I say things that turn out to be wrong, where I say things where I come out and I'm like, you know what? I got that one wrong. I got to take the L now. But this is where I realized that this whole walking on eggshells thing, where it's like, well, I got to just talk about this thing and I can't mention this thing. And I got to, you know, I don't want somebody to say this. It's like, dude, I'm at a point where, like, if you like the content, thank you. You are awesome. I appreciate you more than anything else. If you're a viewer and you're tuning into my streams and you're tuning into my videos and you actually listen to what I have to say, you're the best. If you're somebody who doesn't like that, you don't like what I'm saying, you don't like my content, I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to tell you there's something wrong with you. No, there isn't. Everybody likes what they like. Everybody has things they don't like. All I can suggest is it just might, you know, this might not be the channel for you. I might not be the content creator for you. And the one thing I will say, there are, you know, because I know there are still going to be people that say, dude, I just don't want you to talk about Xbox. Stop shitting on Xbox. Stop talking about Xbox. Listen, going forward, if this is a thing that I maintain, which I'm hoping to maintain, right? Which is, I'm hoping to continue to be able to do daily shows, daily streams, video content, podcasts, just overall more output. I'm going to become more of a multi-platform channel, and people are going to be okay with that, right? Like, I've made it clear, like, dude, PlayStation's where I prefer to play. And in my opinion, Sony is the best because they produce the best results. That's how I feel. But we got a new Nintendo console coming, right? Everybody on the Xbox side anyway keeps telling me Xbox is going to make that comeback. And I'm letting people know, like, look, man, as we can clearly see with Sony at times, Sony's not always going to have news. That's just the way it is. It's not always, Sony's not going to have news every single day. And the truth is, the past couple years, I have not really been much of a multi-platform gamer, right? I've exclusively played on PlayStation, and I've made that clear. And that's why I always felt like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't talk about too much. But now my whole mindset is changing where it's like, well, PlayStation's where I prefer to play. It's where I'm going to continue to play. But going forward, there are going to be other things happening. You know, I think people would appreciate, especially if I'm going to stream every day, if I'm going to talk about stuff every day, expanding my horizons. You know? And that's the plan. That's the goal. PlayStation first and foremost, no doubt about that. I mean, that's the thing. I don't need to say that. People are going to clearly see, like, oh, this guy's mostly a PlayStation guy. You know? That's how it's been. But that's why, dude, that's why I'm saying, I know people are thinking after watching a stream like this, like, this guy absolutely despises Xbox. Well, I hope you're ready. I hope that those people who think I truly despise Xbox, when Xbox puts out a good game, I hope you're ready to hear me talking good about it. Right? There will be some portions of the PlayStation fan base, no doubt. There will be some that, like, for example, when Hellblade comes out. Let's say Hellblade comes out. See, I keep talking about Hellblade because I'm pretty sure Hellblade's going to be good. Imagine when Hellblade comes out. Let's say it gets like a 93 on Metacritic. I got to stop slamming my desk. Gets a 93 on Metacritic. I play and I'm like, dude, this is like as good as God of War, in my opinion, right? Like, this is an amazing game. If that's how I actually feel, I'll tell you that's how I actually feel. There will be PlayStation hardcore who are like, how dare you? You know, and I get it. Like I said, the extremism, it's all around. You don't have to look very far to find it, unfortunately. But I'm not trying to be that. I'm not trying to be that person. I'm not trying to be the person that says, oh, well, what's that? Microsoft actually made a game that seems to be competent and possibly compete with some of Sony's first party. Let me find all the flaws in it and pick it apart. No, I'm not doing that shit. Not going to do it for PlayStation, not going to do it for Xbox. Chris B coming in with 10 gifted memberships. Dude, thank you so much, man. That is huge. Let's see who's getting a membership courtesy of Chris B, who's also been a member for quite some time as well. I see that with your badge. David Murray 06, Dave Knight, Steve, Deuce Bigelow, Nathan Bark 26. Who else? Flamer Alaj. Hopefully I said your name correctly. Daz Healy, Floasis, H2 Flow, Toon Army, Andreas Alberto Leas Ramos. All new channel members courtesy of Chris B. I got to add these. Was that 10 memberships, dude? 10 memberships? Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Dude, look at that. Chris B, alongside others, helping us almost crush the goal of 25. That is awesome, dude. I really, really appreciate that. That's something I'm really trying to encourage, man. And I love to see people gifting memberships because it inspires others. It gets people excited. And most importantly, for the channel is that this is what I'm going to need. If I'm going to grow the show, I'm going to grow the channel. If I'm going to expand my horizons and I want to do this as often as I can, I'm going to need that direct support. And that's going to come from my audience, from you guys. So, and yeah, it's worth noting because I see some people wondering, how do you get a membership gifted to you? It is random. But here's the thing. If you want to give yourself a chance to be gifted a membership by individuals like Chris B and others on the channel, click on it up top. You see it says Chris B gifted 10 memberships. Click on that. And if you don't have it enabled, you can enable it. It'll ask if you want to enable the ability to be gifted super chats. So click on the box, click on Chris B's, his generous gifts here, and it'll let you do that. All right. Because I do still, like, I have to keep saying that because I keep seeing people in the chat where they're asking, like, how do I get gifted a channel membership? How does that happen? Yeah, there we go. See, Vince says, I had no idea. Thanks, MBG. Yeah, so it may sound, I know it's going to sound really repetitive throughout the streams, but, you know, it's necessary for me to, I got to make people aware. If I don't make people aware, I can't expect them to know. You're saying check Benji Sales on Twitter? I like Benji Sales. I'm assuming you're talking about this tweet that Benji Sales put out 14 minutes ago. Guys, go follow Benji Sales on Twitter. Really, really cool dude. Very unbiased. He just puts out data. He says, with PS5 sales surging worldwide and Sony's upcoming first-party lineup mostly empty, now is the time to pull the trigger on a major showcase. Not just one or two reveals, a whole slate of big projects from PlayStation Studios. Get people excited now the generation is kicking into high gear. Abso-fucking-lutely, Benji Sales. I could not agree more. I'm going to retweet that. I never retweet. On Twitter, I have like 56,000 followers on Twitter. I never retweet. I never do it. And the reason why is because I don't like to make it, you know, I just try to keep my feed for people who want to follow me and hear what I have to say. That's all I want it to be. But I'm going to retweet this. This deserves a retweet. I'm retweeting you, Benji Sales. Absolutely. I hope Sony sees that. That's what we need. See, this is what we need, man. This is what we need. I know people think my most enjoyable thing here is to rant about Xbox. Believe me, that's not the most enjoyable thing. It's not. Believe me, I know. Again, I have to say, people are not going to believe this. I'm going to stream the Xbox Showcase. I want to be wowed. I already know when Sony does a showcase, I'm going to be wowed. I know that. There's not even a question. We know this. Like, we know what Sony does, and we know what they're going to do. That's already in the bag. But when I see Xbox's showcase, I want to see some good stuff. I want to be excited. Now more than ever, guys, I'm going to need more content for the channel. Now more than ever, I'm going to be out here being like, let's go, Xbox. I really need a reason to go buy a Series X. And it can't just be because of Game Pass. Not this time. People are going to know. My audience is going to know. They're going to be like, yo, something happened to MBG, bro. When the new Nintendo console's announced, and I'm like, yo, I'm getting that Nintendo console. People are going to be like, yo, damn, MBG, we didn't think you would do that. It's not forced optimism. It's not forced optimism. I have a hope. There is a part of me that wants to see good things. Okay? But I'm just also a realist to a degree. I'm not sitting here to be honest, when I go into Xbox's show this summer, I'm going in well aware there's a pretty good chance you're going to be let down and not as enthusiastic, because you know what? That's the thing, man. I remember Xbox had their showcase in 2021. You guys remember that? You guys remember the Xbox Showcase 2021? I remember. You know what I remember about it? I remember how people were giving it an A. They're like, this is an A plus showcase. This was a great show. And I was in agreement. I was like, that was an exciting ass show. But what we didn't realize is that that show was not indicative of what Xbox is going to produce in the next year and a half. The next 2 years, actually. That's right, 2 years. That show was not indicative of what they were going to produce. The only thing it did show us was another Forza, which is great, and they did produce that, and Halo. And yeah, they produced that as well. But Forza and Halo were not what made that show an A in the minds of the people watching. It wasn't Halo or Forza. It was everything else. It was all the new stuff, all the stuff that's not the same, right? the stuff that people wanted to see. But it turns out that almost all of it was just CG trailer after CG trailer, and there was no dates given. There was nothing. And that's why I'm saying, like, dude, that was 2 years ago. That was 2 fucking years ago. Last year, Xbox did a showcase saying, here's what you're going to get in the next 12 months. And a bunch of those games got delayed outside of that 12-month window, Starfield being one of them. So I got to think, okay, the 2023 showcase has got to be lit. It's got to be a show with some bangers. And by bangers, I don't mean CG trailers. I mean some gameplay trailers that look awesome from these games that you announced 2 years ago. Or games that were announced even further back, like Fable and the Initiative's Perfect Dark and stuff like that, you know? This is why, man. Like, again, the excitement for Xbox, in my opinion, coming from a lot of the enthusiasts, feels very forced. Why is the latest Xbox showcase reaction not on your channel anymore? Dude, because honestly, it's because I let the comments get to me, truthfully. I don't know if I actually deleted it or if it's just privated. I could probably put it out publicly again. It wasn't about anything I said. It was, to be honest, like, it was pretty underwhelming for me. Like, if you went into the last Xbox showcase, if you're talking about the January one, I basically was just like, well, that wasn't that good, in my opinion. But I did talk positively about the Hi-Fi Rush thing, because if you go back and you watch that stream, well, if I didn't get rid of it, I was basically saying that I think Microsoft did a good thing with Hi-Fi Rush. Like, you could tell people were surprised, and they just shadow dropped it, and people had no idea, and the game benefited from it. So I think that was a smart move. I think that was a good thing Xbox did. So there you go. 18 May. You asked me earlier in a super chat, say a good thing. I forgot about that. Yeah, dude. I think what Microsoft did for Hi-Fi Rush, and yeah, dude, I did not like it. You're saying you completely crapped on Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah, I wouldn't. Dude, Hi-Fi Rush could be a PlayStation exclusive. I'm not playing it. It's not my thing, dude. I do not. It's not. It just isn't appealing to me. I'm not saying it's a bad game. A lot of people seem to like it. Apparently, it is a good game, but it's not my cup of tea. It's not. Same reason why I didn't play Bug Snacks, dude. You know how many people were like, yo, you got to play Bug Snacks? And I'm like, I'm good, bro. PlayStation exclusive or not, I'm good. Bug Snacks. No, thank you. So that's the thing. Is it, you see, Geronimo 15, Bug Snacks is fire. I believe you. Bug Snacks is fire. Hi-Fi Rush is fire. I'm good. I'm good. Let me see here. Domingo 813, you're saying we have to get something for reaching the daily goal. What should I give? What should I give? I'm not sure. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, I have a goal, but I don't really have. I don't know what to. I'll have to think about this. Am I streaming Burning Shores tomorrow? No, I'm not incorporating gameplay streams on the channel just yet. I don't know if I'm going to. Like, to be honest, if I do gameplay streams, that might be a member perk. That might end up being a member perk. Because I got a lot of members now, and I want to be able to. I'm serious when I say, like, I want to be able to give my members stuff that's gonna matter to them. That's gonna incentivize them to be like, you know, we're getting something that we just simply normally wouldn't get for just being a subscriber on the channel. I love all my subscribers, and I'm going to keep producing as much content for you guys as I possibly can. On the podcast, I'll talk about games. I'll talk about my experience with them. But when it comes to doing like things like that in the future, you know, most of them will probably be for members. Or, you know, it could be like an early access thing for members. I'm not entirely sure. Channel blowing up now. MBG Cerny interview on the horizon. Yeah, gotta get a Mark Cerny interview. Yeah, right. Yeah, my problem right now that I'm experiencing with Horizon Burning Shores is in just, I think, 2 days later, we got Dead Island 2. I saw that the Dead Island 2 reviews are out, and it's looking like it's getting kind of middling reviews. But I don't know, man. Dead Island 2 is a game for me that it looks pretty fun. I like the zombies. I gotta admit, I like the AAA zombie killing. That's where it really gets me. Yeah, it's in the 7. I think it's like a 74 on Metacritic. So, it's tough, man. It's tough. I don't know. Like it's one of those games where I'm leaning more towards. I have a feeling I might end up enjoying Dead Island 2 more than some people did, because if they're giving Dead Island 2 a 7 out of 10, I could see myself feeling like maybe this game for me is like an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10, because I like everything I've seen of Dead Island 2 so far, and I love killing zombies. Waved Max, you're saying a membership thon from Marathon should happen while you play live Peppa Pig 2. I promise you, MBG, it will be a success. Dude, Waved Max has been pushing Peppa Pig 2 for a while now. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if just one day you pop on MBG's channel, it's like, come play Peppa Pig 2 with me? By that point, people would be like, oh, he lost it, dude. He's full snapped. What happened to MBG, bro? Yeah, Jedi Survivor's coming out too, man. God, where am I going to find the time to play these games? Rari2XX, you're saying rumor is Lost Soul Aside will release Q1 2024. Yeah, I've been hearing good things about that game, man. People seem pretty hyped for it. Domingo813, you're saying we should get a muscle-bound flex when we reach the member goal. Do a bodybuilder flex, as this would be a funny way to make us reach the daily goal. Well, that's the thing, man, is like, that's a good idea, but maybe the first flex will be with shirt on, and then we could get a second flex later on if we can hit like 50 or 100 members. I don't know. I'm not quite ready to go shirtless, bro. That's the thing. I'm working on it. You guys can see the progress, though, right? Lady K gifting 5 memberships. Big shout out to Lady K. Thank you so much for that. Let's see who Lady K gifted memberships here. We have, this is awesome. That I have to add them manually. Let me do that real quick before I forget. So we definitely crushed the goal here, thanks to Crispy and Lady K. That's okay. Yeah, so we should be at 28. I'm going to have to reset this. I don't know if it's going to let me. Oh, yeah, there we go. I don't have to. There we go. So let's see who was gifted the memberships. We got Luden Prime, Quasi, D, N35TO909, and TGK2. All now new members, courtesy of Lady K. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate the support, guys. That is awesome. So yeah, we've crushed the goal today already. We're at 28 out of 25. If anybody here is feeling inspired, if you guys want to keep paying it forward, if you want to keep the train going, go for 30, go for 35, go for as many as you want. But yeah, I should try to have some kind of reward for the members. I don't know, man. That's the thing is, Domingo's like, bro, we got to get like a muscle bound flex every time we hit a goal. I'm not feeling that confident yet, though, man. You know, it's a work in progress. I'm more out of shape than I thought. I might even be more out of shape than I look. I've been trying to get back to it, and I'm like, damn. It's been a while. Lady K says you're welcome all. Lady K claims she's my mother and that she's seen me shirtless already. So I don't know about that. That's a little sus. Who is this Lady K? Something's going on here. Something weird's going on here. I still appreciate it though, Lady K. I appreciate that. Lady K's trying to do something. But in all seriousness, thank you guys so much. It's very nice. Fat bound gamer. I mean, no, I don't think it's quite that. I'm a little bit out of shape, but I'm not quite there yet. But that's awesome, guys. I appreciate the support with the memberships. You guys are awesome. Well, give us something. I will. I promise. I'll think of something. To be honest, the thing that I'm most focused on right now, because I really think this is going to be the most important thing for my members, I really mostly am focused on I'm in the process of brainstorming the different perks that I can offer you guys. Again, I want my perks that I'm going to be coming up with to be sustainable first and foremost. I want it to be sustainable, and I want it to be something that you guys can get some type of value out of, something that I know will matter to the members. That's my goal. And obviously, I'm working on that now. One of the things that I am working on too, that I told you guys, and people have been asking me for this for a long time, emojis. Yes, emojis. We are going to get some emojis. Me and my wife, you guys as well. You guys have a ton of ideas for emojis. We're going to try to make that a reality, and that should help liven up the chat even more. So yeah, that's something that's in the works as well. All my members can look forward to. Let me see here. I got PSP Reviewer 100. You're saying, if you are hyped about Dead Island 2, you will not be disappointed. I got it a bit early, and it's unbelievably good. I'm happy to hear that, dude. Thank you for letting me know. I would love to know how you got it early. I'd love to get it early. But yeah, dude, I'm planning on getting a physical copy. I'm planning on getting a physical copy of Dead Island 2. And it, like, again, the review scores, it seems to be a bit mixed. Like, some people are saying it's really good, they love it, and then others are saying it's okay, it's pretty good. So I'm glad to hear that. PSP Reviewer, if you're like me, which it seems like you are, you must love zombie games. You're saying your local store had it in stock already, so they hooked me up. Dude, you're lucky. The amount of times I have like attempted to walk into Walmart, because I've seen it. I've seen people doing it where it's like they just have the game and they'll sell it. And any Walmart I've went in doing that, they're like, yeah, this game isn't out yet. I'd be like, how come it works for everybody else? How come it works for literally everybody else? I don't get it. I don't get it. Saying physical is dead, give Sony 100%, not 30% to store. I gotta support physical, bro, where I can. I can't let go of it. I just can't let it go. I can't let it go. Virax, you're saying Sony lost touch. Where's Knack 3? The masses demand it. I agree, man. One of these days you're gonna see a stream, and the title of that stream is gonna be I've had enough, Sony. I've had enough. And that entire stream is gonna be a rant, just like this one, geared towards Sony, grilling them for not delivering Knack 3. We shouldn't have to wait this long. We shouldn't have to wait this long. Maybe Media Molecule will work on Knack 3. Now that would be interesting. Steven Jones, you're saying my Series X has not been on in a month. I really need to track down a PS5. I'm not a fan of Game Pass. Too many, I think you meant to say throwaway games on there. I mean, that's the thing, man. Like, anybody who's thinking about getting a PS5, if it's within your means, like if you can afford it, I highly, highly recommend it. I do, because I'm telling you, there really is like something for everybody on PS5, even just from Sony Studios. But Sony they have been delivering games extremely consistently since the launch of the PS5. Regardless of what anybody might tell you or, try to convince you of, like, they have been delivering a lot of high quality games. And that's not even counting, all the multi-plat games. So I think anybody who considers buying a PS5, you're definitely going to get a good console. You're going to get a good bang for your buck, in my opinion. No doubt. A lot of great exclusives, a lot of, all the major multi-plat games. And the controller's amazing. I mean, seriously, we talked about the launch of these consoles. Somebody mentioned Quick Resume on Xbox. Dude, I said at the time, I'm like, it almost feels like the most next-gen thing at times is the DualSense. Like, because the haptic feedback, the triggers, people who haven't used it, people who, were thinking it was a gimmick, and I can understand. They were trying to say, like, dude, that's all it is. It's a gimmick. And I'm like, I don't know, man. This is the real deal. This is not just extra vibration, It's really, really good. The DualSense is awesome. But obviously, 60 FPS, man. I gotta say that the two biggest differences, because I've been talking a lot about these consoles since the launch, and I think something that would be interesting for me to say right now, if you were to ask me, like, what are the now that we're 2.5 years into these new consoles, what are the things that I still like think about? What are the biggest differences? Because I'm far removed from playing a PS4 Pro, but I'll tell you there are two things. For as great as the DualSense is, the two things that still stand out and truly make the PS5 experience, even from day one, in my opinion, like a next generation console experience, 60 FPS. Okay, just 60 FPS. And the fact that this has been consistent on the PS5 since day one. Nearly every game I've played, there have been a couple where I've dabbled in the fidelity mode or I felt like I should play in the fidelity mode, but nearly every game I played has been at 60 FPS on the PS5, at least from Sony Studios, many multi-plat games as well, and they look amazing, especially Sony's games. And I don't know that, look, this is going to sound laughable because it's not a next-gen feature, and I know it shouldn't be seen as that, but for me, and I'm sure for many others, dude, my PS5 is still completely silent. It doesn't make a single sound that I can hear anyway. And I remember when I first got the PS5, I was coming off of a PS4 Pro that sounded like, an airplane taking off on a runway. And that it was so unbelievably annoying. So that I just want to say that, like, that's still something that I'm appreciative of, because Sony messed that up with the PS4, no doubt about that. And yes, that's another thing. The instantaneous load times. I've seen some people, I'm telling you, people start to take things for granted. I've seen some people basically saying, not often, but they say, oh, the instantaneous load times are overhyped and whatnot. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Go back and play on PS4 if you haven't in a long time. Go back and play on PS4. You will have a newfound appreciation for those instantaneous load times, or those very quick load times, less than 5 seconds. There are some games that are, they still take a little bit longer to load than, games that are fully optimized to take advantage of that speed and whatnot. But that is something that has been really nice since day one with the PS5, and I'm still very much appreciative of. Here's another example. A couple of months ago, I think it was like 2 months ago at this point, I got my wife to start playing Dead by Daylight with me, and at the time, I had to give her the PS4 Pro to play on. And every time we would, go to get set up to play at night, I'd be playing on the PS5. I'd turn it on. Dude, I'm in the lobby in seconds. That's how fast and instantaneous everything is. When I would boot up the PS4 Pro to get her set up, dude, I was like in shock. I couldn't believe it. It would take like 3 minutes or longer, which doesn't sound like a long time, but think about it. Like, you're just turning on the console and booting up a game. It would take like close to 3 minutes to get her in the lobby, which is insane. Like, and it just, I was playing on the PS5 for so long, I forgot, like, dude, this is what it's like on the PS4. Like, this is last gen. These are last gen load times. So definitely something that I still appreciate. And to be honest, like, some of these features, yeah, they are available on the Xbox as well. The Series X is quiet. The Series X has fast load times. But, Steven, you mentioned you're not a fan of Game Pass. You feel like there's too many throwaway games. Dude, that's why I'm saying, man, like, take a look at Sony's lineup, man, because not many of Sony's games, I think, would be considered throwaway games, frankly. Meet Me at the Tree Line saying, honest question to everyone, other than Game Pass, why would people buy an Xbox? I can't wait to see the copium from this question. Well, to be honest, I don't know that there's going to be much copium here. I'm sure there would be in other places, but look, I think there are people who genuinely have good reasons for buying a Series X. Like, I understand that there are people like myself where it's like PC is an option, but you prefer the console experience. I think there are people who prefer the console experience. They like the Xbox controller, and they've decided, you know what, like I want to go buy this Xbox console. It's a simpler experience, and I just want to play in this ecosystem, and I'll subscribe to Game Pass. But I really do think that when it comes to the main reason why you would buy a console, that being the games, especially the first-party games from that console manufacturer, I do not think Microsoft has done anywhere near a good job. They haven't remotely done a good job. They've done an okay job at best. They've done a horrible job at worst. And that depends greatly on whether or not you view the smaller released games or even games like Forza, which isn't a small game, but it's an expected game that comes out almost yearly. If those are the games that get you excited, then I could see why you would say, I think Xbox has done an okay job. But if you're somebody who's looking for things outside of that, I don't think anybody can argue that like Microsoft hasn't done a good job. And that's the thing, is everything Microsoft is doing now, it's not to feed the console. It's not to feed the Xbox Series X. It is to feed Game Pass. And that's why I kind of think like, you know, it's taken them quite a long time. I'll put it to you this way. It's always been Microsoft has been taking a long time, but I think, and I could be wrong about this, I think Microsoft is discovering at this point in time, and they have already discovered potentially, that it doesn't matter whether you're asking for $70. It doesn't matter whether you're asking people to buy a console for $500. It doesn't matter if you're just asking people for $10. It turns out that gamers, at least the majority of them, even like gamers of the more casual gamers to a degree, it turns out that they want big stuff. They want big, exciting stuff. They want the spectacle. They want the quality, even if they don't know it. I am telling you, the reason why Game Pass has not surpassed 30 million subscribers, the reason why Microsoft is not reporting Game Pass numbers, it is the exact same reason they couldn't sell Xbox consoles. And that's what's insane to me, is that the difference in terms of price is vast. But the reason why is the same. The reason is that, dude, people want great games. They want amazing games. You know, you can ask for $400 for your console and $60, $70 for your games, but if the games aren't there, no one's going to buy the console. And if the games aren't good, people aren't going to buy them. And I think what Microsoft found out the hard way is that by creating this subscription service model in Game Pass, they've been at it for like 7 years now. They're getting close to a decade, man. And they have not hit 35 million subs yet. Meanwhile, the PS5, and I know I made this point previously, but it's worth making again. The PS5 is probably on its way to 35 million in less than 3 years. Why is that? Why is that people are so okay with paying $500 for a PS5 console and paying $70 for Sony's games? You already know. I don't need to tell you. You already know. But you know what Microsoft has attempted to do. And I know I'm not ranting right now, but this is a pretty good point, I think. Well, it seems to me what Microsoft has attempted to do is to convince people that the reason why Sony is successful is because they're greedy, is because they're anti-consumer. That's what Microsoft and the fan base has tried to do. They've tried to tell you that because Sony isn't willing to offer their exclusives for $10 a month on their subscription service, they're anti-consumer. Meanwhile, Sony has come out and they've tried to make it known as best they can to the public that we can't do that. That's not sustainable and that's not realistic, nor is it rational. Plus, our games sell really well. People don't mind buying our games. But Microsoft and that fan base has continued to try to run with a narrative that is simply not true. And if you want proof of that, take a good look at where Game Pass is now. Take a good look at what Microsoft has had to do to get people to subscribe to a $10 service that's available outside of their console. that's available on a PC that people didn't buy just for to play Xbox's games. It's on Samsung TVs, for Christ's sake. They've had to buy publishers. They've had to buy what would be considered high quality games because they couldn't make their own. They had to buy Starfield, and that's fine. I'll call it an Xbox game. And if that game does well, I'll give Xbox the credit, but they had to buy it. And that's what they're going to use. Microsoft is going to use what people are expecting to be a high quality game to get people to spend $10 to join Game Pass. Wrestling Market saying like Sony with Final Fantasy. Absolutely. But there's a key difference. Sony isn't just buying games. That's part of what they're doing, yes. Sony did pay for Final Fantasy. But on top of paying for Final Fantasy, they delivered God of War Ragnarok. They've delivered Horizon Forbidden West. They're going to deliver Spider-Man 2. They've delivered Returnal. They've delivered Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. They've delivered Demon's Souls. Well, to be fair, Demon's Souls did come before Sony owned them. But I guess the point that I'm trying to highlight here, the point that I'm trying to make is that there's no getting around it. There's no escaping it. There's no getting around it. Whether you're doing a subscription-based model that's considered the best value in gaming, the cheapest deal in gaming, or whether you're selling a $500 premium console, it does not matter. The business model does not matter if you don't have the goods, if you don't have the games, if you don't have what people actually want. You can only continue to make something cheaper and cheaper and cheaper until eventually the realization kicks in that maybe people just don't want it, you know? That's why if you look at mobile games, there's a reason why people who play mobile games, the last thing most of them would ever do is buy a video game console. The last thing any of them do is ever even consider paying a premium price for a video game. And what do they get in return? What do they get in return? They get garbage. And granted, there are some good mobile games, but it seems like most of the good mobile games, although I don't know how many there are, I know that there are some high quality mobile games. They either ask you to pay for the game, like buy the game, just like you would any other quality video game, or they make their money through potentially egregious microtransactions, you know, or definitely microtransactions that are pushed very heavily. I just think that, you know, I started this stream, this hype or rant or hype episode with MBG. I started it losing my shit on Xbox, losing my shit on, you know, a certain portion of the Xbox fan base, basically pointing out that I think this is pathetic. I think this is sad, you know, what is going on with Microsoft and Xbox. But I think that it all just it all serves to come back to the same point that I've been trying to make for years now, that I simply, and look, I know that there's always going to be that argument. Well, it's not just about it's not just about you, MBG. What about the larger market? What about the market itself, the wider market? And my question to that is, what about it? What about it? That's not an argument that can be made at this point in time. Unless Game Pass was sitting at 50, 60, 70 million subscribers, greatly ahead of the PS5, greatly ahead of PS Plus. That's not an argument that can be made because there is no argument to make. The market is speaking literally right now. I'm just delivering that message. I'm delivering the message that the market, even the hardcore market, the hardcore console gaming market that has proven there's 80 million of us. There's 100 million of us. There's 120 million of us. There's a market here that goes beyond 100 million people that will go out there and pay a premium price for a console and pay a premium price for video games. They're not there. They're not on Game Pass. A small portion of them, a very small portion of them are on Game Pass. Turns out that market is out here buying PS5s, is out here buying Nintendo Switches. And say it with me again, okay? Why is it? Why is it that this is what's happening? Why is it that people are buying Switches by the millions. People are buying PS5s by the millions, but yet Game Pass in 7 years still hasn't made it to 35 million subs. Go ahead. Say it. You know. Doesn't really need to be said anymore at this point. Now, I don't mean to offend anybody. If you're subscribed to Game Pass and you appreciate it and you feel like it's a good deal, that's fine. If there are games that you play on Game Pass that you like, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But it's just, it's not there yet. And I think people need to realize that. I think people need to realize that Game Pass is not there yet. It's not even close to being there. We got a statement from Phil Spencer a couple months back that says, oh yeah, Game Pass is profitable. Meanwhile, Microsoft literally refuses to reveal their numbers. Actions speak louder than words. That's what they say anyway. All right, let me keep this going here. The Dark Azrael, you're saying, MBG, since you like showcases, are you going to watch the Street Fighter 6 showcase hosted by Little... What? Wait, hold on. Is that real? I know the showcase is real. It's going to be hosted by Lil Wayne on April 20th. Is that true? I feel like you're trolling me. Like, I know the showcase is happening. I see it. But now you're telling me it's going to be hosted by Lil Wayne? You guys are saying it's real. No, what? Is he like a big Street Fighter fan or something? Lil Wayne, oh my God. Lil Wayne, that's so random. I don't have anything against Lil Wayne. I just feel like that's like the most random thing. That, like, I would have never expected that. I almost want to tune in just to see that now. Just to see that. But truthfully, it's not on my radar. I do like showcases, but the showcases that I really care about most are showcases that focus on, like, you know, the platforms and bigger new game announcements. Granted, I think that Nintendo has not been part of that for me for a while, but it's basically been like, you know, the big publisher showcases. Street Fighter 6, it looks like there's a lot of hype to it or behind it. People are very excited for Street Fighter 6, but I don't know that that's going to be a game that I dive into head first at launch. I mean, my wife's a big Street Fighter fan, so I'll probably get it and play it with her. But I've never been like, I don't know, with fighters in particular, I've never been able to get deep into fighters because I feel like I'm not very great at them. Like, I enjoy fighters that have like a story mode and stuff, but never could really, you know, I could never really master them. And because of that, I always just felt like, well, I got what I could out of this. Yeah, I love Tekken 8. I'm excited for. I've always loved Tekken. I've always loved Mortal Kombat. Those are like my fighters that I play. I would play Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Street Fighter, not so much. But it's been a while since I played any fighter. Am I a Black Label Society fan? Yes, actually, I am. I like Black Label Society. So no, I'm probably not going to watch that showcase in particular. MBG, do you listen to NF? I actually don't listen to NF, but Pragmatic Hat, I don't know if you remember Brown Sugar, featured on the channel a couple times in the past. I'm sure some of you do. He really likes NF. I think that's his favorite artist right now. He's really been listening to him a lot. So, Planet Schlorpian, you're saying Chia, Stray, old PS1 and 2 games, many worthwhile monthly games, etc., all on PS Plus. Xbox Game Pass simply isn't as good as PS Plus. Well, don't say that, dude. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's subjective. The one thing that Microsoft has been doing a pretty good job with Game Pass, in my opinion, is they have been securing pretty decent to good day one drops. Like, people were very excited that Wolong Fallen Dynasty was day one on Game Pass. Got that upcoming game Lies of P. But, you know, you always got to question. you always have to question AAA games that are launching into a service because I'll be honest with you, anytime I see a AAA game launching into a service, it tells me, yeah, Atomic Heart, it tells me that the confidence isn't fully there. Okay, because if there's a certain threshold, right? A publisher that has confidence in their AAA game, they have an expectation. They think our game is good enough that we can sell X amount of copies, so we don't need to take the bag, so to speak. We don't have to take a one-time check that could, from Microsoft or from Sony that would otherwise, we'd make way more than that, and this might cannibalize our sales, so on and so forth. That's not always the case, obviously. It's not like every game that launches day and date into PS Plus or Game Pass is bad or anything. Although I don't think many AAA games actually, if any, I don't know if any AAA games really launch in the PS Plus. But like, Wo Long Fallen Dynasty, I don't think anybody would say that that's not a good game. I don't think anybody who paid full price for that would say it's not worth it. So if you are subscribed to Game Pass and that's your type of game, you probably got a good deal there. I don't know about Atomic Heart. I don't know. To me, Atomic Heart's kind of mixed. I've seen people saying the game is great. I've seen people saying the game is horrible. So I don't know. But maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe that's exactly why it's in Game Pass. I would have suspected that maybe a game like Dead Island 2 would have went into Game Pass as well. But they seem to be confident that their pre-orders and the sales expectations are seemingly good enough that, if there's just a reason why you don't see games like Dead Space, games like Hogwarts Legacy, games like, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and many others. There's a reason why you don't see these games ever launching into subscription services, and they never will, because the amount of money that would have to be paid just to these subscription service holders, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And even the publisher knows it. So, but if you think PlayStation Plus is better than Game Pass, I mean, that's your opinion. I think that's subjective. I think that there's definitely an argument to be made as to why somebody might say Game Pass is better than PS Plus, so on and so forth. Josh, you're saying, I noticed everyone has said most PlayStation games that have come out since 2020 have been 60 FPS, but honestly, I think there are more games that support 120 FPS than 60 FPS, which still looks phenomenal. I can't say whether or not that's true. Like, I can't say whether or not that, yes, there are more 120 FPS games than there are 60. That would be strange. That would be kind of crazy. But I will say that there has been a trend in the past year and a half or so with games launching on PS5, and even from Sony's first party, where they're like, we need to try to get this to be 120 FPS. We got to try, because people like it. Thought I had more coffee. So you can tell I'm running out of steam early here. Coffee hit the caffeine hit the system and wore off pretty quick, didn't it? But yeah, since 2020, man, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. So if you're talking about since 2020, I imagine more games are 60 FPS than 120. But there's definitely been a massive increase in 120 FPS games. No doubt. Hickzock, you're saying replaying Uncharted 4 at 4K 40 on PS5 with DualSense. There you go. It's not necessarily a new game, right? But dude, I don't know, man. I know Uncharted 4 came out in 2016 on PS4, but you play that game on PS5. You're saying 4K 40. It looks damn good. Like it's crazy, dude. Naughty Dog is insane with their tech. Absolutely insane. This is why I can't wait to see a full-blown PS5 game from Naughty Dog, no matter what it is, because, dude, can't even imagine what they're going to be able to pull off. I mean, you look at The Last of Us Part 2. I talked all about that game yesterday. One thing I didn't say about that game is it looks fucking dude, you go back and play that game on PS4 Pro, it looks like it looks like a PS5 game in fidelity mode. It does. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Josh, again, you're saying Spider-Man and Starfield don't deserve equal credit from the parent company. Sony partnered with Insomniac to make Spider-Man. Starfield was announced in 2018. You're right about that. But nobody will talk about that. No, I mean, look, there's no doubt that Bethesda has had a relationship with Xbox in the past, but people just want to pretend. Like, they just want to pretend that Starfield was announced as an Xbox exclusive and wasn't supposed to make its way to PS5. This is the type of hypocrisy that I can't fucking stand to see from people. I can't. Like, I can't stand to see it where it's like, well, you know, Sony is evil. Sony's bad because they pay for third-party exclusives. And they pay to take these games away from a console base where it otherwise would have released. And fucking Microsoft comes out here, buys Starfield, buys all of Bethesda and you know, takes away Starfield and takes away Redfall. And everybody's like, well, that's okay because they own them. It's like, it's the same thing. Like, you do, like that's what bothers me so much is people don't seem to see that. Dude, it's the same thing at the end of the day for you, buddy. Maybe it's not the same thing for Microsoft. Maybe it's not the same thing for Sony, but for you, the consumer, the player, the gamer, the console owner, it's the same thing. But it's okay when Microsoft does it. At least that's what that's definitely the energy they put forth. And here we go, Aaron Yogurt. Aaron Yogurt coming in strong again. Doesn't want the membership gifting to end. Love to see it, dude. Thank you so much. Let me add another one there. So we're now at 29 members for this stream, which is awesome. You guys crushed the goal. I had a goal of 25 members. Absolutely crushed it. And Aaron Yogurt's like, nah, can't let it happen, man. Can't let this stream go without gifting another membership. You guys have been awesome, really. Really, it's been incredible to see. Let's see who is gifted a membership here. We got Shade. Shade was gifted a membership thanks to Aaron Yogurt. Yeah, Aaron, Chris B. You guys have been gifting a lot of memberships, which is awesome. You're saying, let's shoot for 200 members. Let's do it right now. Let's go. I want to see a 50 membership donation right now. I'm just kidding. We can if you want, but 200, that'd be insane, bro. I mean, I feel like getting 200 new members in a day, that would have to be something that I think occurs. I mean, anything's possible. Dude, Domingo813, he's out here. He's like, MBG, I got to see those muscles, bro. Give me at least a little bicep flex for hitting the gold. Here's the problem, dude. I worked out my biceps yesterday. And anybody who works out a lot, you know, like, if I had a pump right now, right? If I was like a day or two recovered, my glycogen supply would have been replenished. Okay. I'd have, I'd look a little bit more swole. But this is a day after I annihilated my biceps. It hurts, dude. It hurts to stretch my arms out. I've had a muscle cramp in my bicep over here. Not a cramp, a spasm. It won't go away. It's been 4 days. What the hell's going on? I have like a muscle spasm in my bicep. It won't go away. It's annoying as hell. Saying MVG scared to show his puny muscles. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm not taking creatine. Excuses. MBG was doing crazy numbers with Abandon, says Aaron. Absolutely. No, but really, dude, if you train your muscles, I'm telling you, I'm curious to see if you're natural, and sometimes even if you're not natural, go blast a muscle group today. Do it. Go to the gym, work out at home, blast a muscle group. Okay? You're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to look flat, bro. You're going to look flat. Like, you're not going to look swole. You're going to actually look like, did I lose muscle? It's a lot to do with water weight. It's a lot to do with glycogen supply. It's how the anatomy works. So basically what I'm saying is in the next day or two, as I'm letting my biceps recover, they're gonna pump up a little bit more. It's a combination of water, glycogen, creatine, the whole thing. Because you do get creatine if you're eating meat. And I don't know, is there creatine? I'm pretty sure there's creatine in non-meat products. Pretty sure. But if you eat like a lot of red meat and stuff, you're getting creatine in that way. If you're not taking creatine, like supplementing with it, you're still getting it. So if I were to chug a bunch of water today, eat a bunch of carbs, healthier carbs, right? Because eating healthy carbs, you know, I'm not going to eat healthy carbs. I'm going to try to. And then if I like supplement it with a little bit of creatine, dude, tomorrow I'm going to look a little bit different. And then the day after that, I'm going to look maybe even a lot different. That's how it is. But you're also putting me on the spot. Like I am nervous. I'm like, damn, I'm called Muscle Bound Gamer. If I do my first bicep flex right now, on camera and it's not going to look good. Hey man, keep in mind, back in 2020, I did my unboxing of the PS5. Okay, that was me in pretty good shape. I remember when that was the first time I was ever on camera, and people were like, "Damn," because I had a pretty good bicep shot. But that's part of the journey here with the new Rant or Hype show. Is I'm trying to get back in shape here. All right, and clearly you guys have expectations, dude. I'm about to start putting out like progress shots or something. I'm going to go on like a journey to really try to get in peak physical condition naturally. And I'm going to start putting out like progress shots on like a monthly basis to my members. There you go. There's where you'll get your bicep flex. How about 50 push-ups for hitting 50 members? Oh my God. That would work. You wouldn't even be able to see me do it though. You'll just hear me over here grunting and making weird noises, and new people are going to come in. They're not going to know that I'm doing 50 push-ups. They're going to be like, yo, MBG left his stream on. What the hell is he doing, bro? And you know what they think I'm going to be doing on the other side of the camera, because it's not going to sound normal. Like they're not going to assume he's doing push-ups. That's a recipe for disaster, man. That's what it seems like to me. He's pooping. Yeah, I'm just taking a dump on my floor, guys. Somebody's gonna clip this. They're gonna people who clip the streams without context. It sounds so insane. It sounds like I say the most insane shit, because it does sound insane, but there's just no context. It's some of the funniest stuff, man. I love it. Xbots are going to have a field day. MBG, in your expert nutritionist opinion, should I take creatine in a cutting phase? I mean, there's pros and cons to it, right? Like, obviously, the biggest con to taking creatine in a cutting phase is when you're cutting, you're trying to burn fat, you're trying to slim down, and so you're still gonna hold a lot of water weight. As far as I'm aware, I'm not like an expert or anything. If I'm not mistaken, you can certainly still burn body fat. Like if you're cutting rapidly for like if you're doing a bodybuilding show or something, you probably wouldn't want to stay on creatine. You're gonna hold too much water weight for sure. But if you're just like somebody who's not doing bodybuilding, you're just trying to lose body fat, like actual body fat, and lower your body fat percentage so you can look more ripped, I think it would be fine to stay on creatine, because you can still burn fat while having the water weight from creatine. But the pros of being on creatine is you're going to have more strength, you're going to have more energy, you're going to have the ability to work out harder. But it's kind of a choice, because the thing is, burning body fat and lowering your body fat percentage takes a long time, and it takes a lot of commitment, and most of it is done outside of the gym. It's done in the kitchen, your diet. So yeah, I mean, it has to be kind of a personal choice there. As long as you're working, I mean, it sounds cliche, but as long as you're working out hard, as long as you're really putting in the effort, and most importantly, as long as your diet is on point, you'll burn body fat. And burning more body fat will reveal more of your muscles and allow you to become more cut. And, there are plenty of people who have a lower body fat percentage. They take creatine and they still look pretty damn cut. Like they still look pretty ripped. So, but yeah, I don't take creatine anymore. I've gotten pretty good results on creatine, and maybe I'll take it again, but I don't know. Creatine has given me headaches sometimes, and I don't know if it's because it dehydrates me. Right now, the only supplements I'm take whey protein powder, obviously. I'm always trying to increase my protein intake. I take that. I don't know. I don't count coffee as a supplement, but I get my daily caffeine. I mean, it's a drug. So on top of protein, I take fish oil, take a multivitamin, and the only other thing I've incorporated is L-arginine. I think I'm saying that right. And that's basically just it's a nitric oxide catalyst, something like that. Basically, it's supposed to help you with a pump, supposed to help you with some blood flow. But yeah, I used to take pre-workouts and stuff like that. I used to take a bunch of stuff, and as I got older, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't want to keep taking all this, and I've never not been natural. I don't have a problem with anybody who isn't natural. I just think it's a personal choice, something you have to educate yourself on. And after educating myself on it, looking into it, I just kind of decided, I'm going to stay natural. And I know that in doing that, now that I'm 29 now, I'm going to be 30 this year, and I'm entering my 30s. It's going to be really difficult to maintain peak form, now that I'm getting a little bit older, especially naturally. But to me, that's part of the fun in it. That's part of the challenge. You know what I mean? Like, you do see people, and sometimes it's even hard to tell. Like, you see people that are older, they're in their late 30s, they're in their 40s, and they look like they got, bodies of from when they were like 25, right? And there's always this argument, like, are they enhanced? Are they natural? And there's always this big argument of what can be achieved naturally, what, versus what can be achieved when you're enhanced or on, any type of PD or anything. And for me, it's just, I think it's like, as long as you're doing everything within a rational mind, as long as you're not going overboard, I think is you train hard, you train consistently, you try to have a good diet, but don't go crazy with it. You'll probably look pretty good. You could probably maintain a pretty good physique, and you'll feel pretty good too. But I think people get too crazy with stuff, man. Like, I'll be honest. I know my channel name is Muscle Bound Gamer, but I never could understand truly, and this is no offense to anybody, but I could never understand, like, seeing guys that they get so much muscle, like, it's so much, and it looks intimidating, right? Like, and I think, like, that's a big thing, is it looks cool, looks badass. You look, super jacked. Your veins look like ropes, or garden hoses, and I know that it feels good too, right? That's the big thing. But I could never, I don't know, I just could never get to that point where I'm like, I don't want to, I'm not a big dude naturally, right? Like, I'm a pretty average size male. I don't imagine I should be 235 or 250 pounds of, like, muscle, and that's the thing is, to me, that's the biggest reason why I just decided I'm just going to stay natural, because I think what a lot of guys don't realize is when you put on a lot of muscle weight, like a lot of muscle mass, there is clearly a threshold where at some point your body is, yes, muscle is good for you. That's active tissue, but your body is carrying that weight. And that's something your heart and your entire body has to take that load. Just like people who are obese, with body fat, it can take a toll on your insides. Really, it can take a toll on your organs. You have to carry that with you, and I think that's something that people who get really, really super jacked with a lot of muscle tissue. There's a lot of young guys where they just don't really think about that fact. They just think, I just want to be as big as possible. And it's just something you got to consider. For me, what was eye-opening and this will be the end of the show, obviously, but just talking about something a little bit off topic here. What was eye-opening to me was, growing up in, like, my late teens, early 20s, I really started to get into bodybuilding, and I started to get into that culture and following bodybuilders and seeing that lifestyle, the magazines, the YouTube videos, the whole thing. And I I idolized it. I think a lot of young guys do when they come across it, and it just seems so cool and seems so enticing. And, you know, as time went on, like, my eyes kind of opened up to it's not everything it appears to be on the surface, right? Like, what I did not realize truly was when I saw a lot of these guys that were just massive, I knew that they were on steroids. Like, I knew that they were on stuff, but what I didn't understand is just how much shit they're on to get to that level, like every day, and the risks associated with it. And just instantly in that moment, I was like, well, all that, just to look a certain way, just to feel good. I don't know about that, And my my cat is like screaming at me. She's like, "Let me out of this damn room! I'm about to end the stream, Leia. Don't worry, it's about to be over." But that kind of it popped the bubble, I guess you could say, where I thought like, oh, maybe that's what I could do. Like, there was a point in my life where I'm like, maybe I could be a bodybuilder. And then when I realized what it takes, like, it's not even just, and I want to say, it's not even just like the amount of steroids and drugs that you have to take. It's also the lifestyle. Like, anybody can take a copious amount of steroids and drugs, but not everybody can do that and maintain the very, in my opinion, insane type of lifestyle that's required to be like a professional bodybuilder. And it's with me, it started the same way it does with everybody, where it's like I see Arnold Schwarzenegger, I look at the golden age of bodybuilding and I get really inspired. But then I see today, like, people like Ronnie Coleman, right, where it's like the dude has, I don't know exactly what condition like Ronnie Coleman is in now, but I saw that he could hardly walk. He basically was wheelchair bound for a while and has to get all these surgeries. And it's because he was a bodybuilder in like the early 2000s and he dominated, but it was because at that time it was, how far can we push it? Like, just how massive can we get, right? Like, how big, how much muscle. And the dude was like 320 pounds or something of mostly muscle. And it turns out that will destroy your body. That will destroy your body, and it's interesting stuff, man. It is. And I think it's all about moderation and balance at the end of the day. I have to admit, like, I'm doing a lot of talking. Talk is cheap, right? And that's true. Like, I've let myself go to a degree. I have not been on point with my diet. I've not been on point with my training. But I do know, like, there were times in my life where I achieved a pretty good physique and I felt really good and I was like in good shape and it was done naturally, but it was hard. It was really hard. Like, it takes a lot of upkeep. It takes a lot of dedication. And I think the most important thing, and what I've learned at this point, is I feel like the question that people have to ask themselves is like, why exactly am I doing this? Like, if you want to exercise and push yourself and you want to set goals, you have to you have to be able to answer the why. Like, why am I doing this? What is the reason for it? And I think a lot of times people don't actually really answer that question. I think that they get motivated by something they see. They have certain images in their mind. And that's where I learned for myself over the years that it turns out I don't want to be a bodybuilder. It turns out that I don't want to be like somebody who's constantly out here flexing and focused on showing off my body and looking a certain way and feeling badass and feeling like, yeah, look at how good I look. Look at how hard I work for my body. There's nothing wrong for anybody who wants to do that. I get it. But I eventually learned that I just want to have a body that I feel good about, right? That I respect, that I know, like, I know what I put into that and I know what it means to me. And it's for me alone, to make, to be healthy, basically. So that's pretty much it. You're saying you're a new dad too, so I understand having so much time for it now. Yeah, and that's the thing, dude. As you get older, life happens, right? Life happens, and people discover that it does become harder to maintain over time. So that was a Domingo 813. While I may not have given you a bicep flex for hitting the goal, maybe for today we could say the goal was we'll we'll tap into the muscle bound side of MBG at the end of this episode. Not so much about gaming, because the truth is I don't really talk about fitness or stuff like that here on the channel. But that, that's why I think it'll be cool to do these daily streams, is towards the end of them, who knows what we could talk about, Who knows what we could talk about? There we go. You say once you get married with kids, you don't care. I mean, I don't think it's that people don't care. I think it's just that you can't care in the same way without sacrificing something. And I think for a lot of people, the sacrifice isn't worth it. And that's for each individual to determine, like when you become a parent, obviously your life naturally just becomes more stressful because you have more you're responsible for. You have more things you have to take care of. And especially if you have multiple kids and, you have to make a living, the whole thing, it can be very, very difficult. And that's why I feel like, and I'll say this last thing too, especially these days on the internet, right? You go on Instagram, go on TikTok, YouTube, wherever you go. If you're following anything, you see like their livelihood is to look a certain way, essentially. Their livelihood is to maintain that. And that's a lot of times, like, that's what I think people don't understand, is that when you see that and you're inspired by it, you have to also consider everything that's behind it, because it's going to be much more difficult for a person who wants to look a certain way and want to achieve a certain goal. It's going to be much more difficult to do that if you're living a very different life. Like if you're not the one that's making a living off of looking that way, you're going to have to put in the extra, you find the extra time on top of making a living however you're making a living. I think that's what sometimes I think people overlook that fact. And I think, it's all about balance. That's all it comes down to, guys. It's all about balance. It's all about moderation. It's all about understanding why you're doing what you're doing. Space Gambler Jr., the key to life, don't have kids. I don't agree with that. Maybe for some people, I don't know. That's a different conversation for another day. To have kids or not to have kids, right? Probably a conversation we'll never have on this channel because I don't think it's necessary. But guys, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Rant or Hype with MBG. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I went a little berserk, right? Like, definitely this was a rant episode. And then it took a not weird. It wasn't weird. I took an unexpected turn, I should say, at the end here, where who would have thought MBG is going to come out here and rant about Xbox and Ghostwire Tokyo, talk about the PS5, and then he's going to let me know, should I be taking creatine when I'm cutting? So I want to give a couple shout outs here before I end the stream. First off, massive shout out to all of you guys, everybody who tuned in, everybody who watches. I really appreciate it. This, again, is something new that I'm doing here, daily live streams throughout the week on top of the video content. So I really do appreciate you guys coming out and showing your support for this. I hope that we can continue to grow it as it continues. So thank you. Massive shout out to everybody who donated a super chat, and also especially those of you who gifted memberships. Anybody who became a member, anybody who gifted memberships, massive thank you. Massive shout out to you, because right now on the channel, this is the goal. I'm looking to increase fan funding, and in turn, I'm looking to increase engagement with those who are funding this channel and funding me as a content creator. So look forward to that in the coming weeks and months. And thank you to everybody who donated a super chat. Really do appreciate it. One last thing I'm going to ask you guys is, as you're heading out, just hit that like button. And before we go, we got PSP Reviewer 100, making sure he's gifting a membership before we head out. Thank you so much, man. Kevin Mack was gifted a membership. There's a nice round 30. Let's get it there. Thank you so much. I have to figure out how to do that, because one thing I didn't realize when I set this up is I thought that this new streaming software I'm using, I thought when people would gift memberships, it would give the same notification, but it doesn't. So I have to do it manually. So when you see it says MBG gifted a membership, that's actually you guys. So I'll have to figure out how to fix that. I hope I can. I'm sure there has to be a way. So Thank you for that, PSP Reviewer 100. You guys are awesome. And I'll have a video out with my rant if you want to watch it later today. My hope is, unless something goes wrong. I don't know if you can hear my cat. She's yelling at me in the background. But I'm hoping that I can be here again tomorrow, same time, same place, at 12 p.m. Eastern with the next episode of Rant or Hype with MBG. So there you go, guys. Oh, and really quick, this was important too. Got to give a big shout out to Devil Shooter. He is deciding, I guess, I don't know if he's going to do it every episode. It's totally fine if you can't, dude. Like, do what you want to do. He did timestamps for not only the podcast the other day, but also the Rant or Hype episode with MBG. So it seems like he might start doing some timestamps for them as well. So big shout out to you, Devil Shooter, for doing that, going above and beyond. If you see him in the chat, give him a big thank you. Or if you see him in the comments, give him a big thank you. But that does it, guys. I will catch you in the next one. Everybody, I hope you have a good rest of your day.